Hi and welcome back to Dean Park. February was quite a quiet month on the YouTube front for me, but now we're into March, believe it or not. I can share some of the progress that I made during the month of February. First off, last weekend I was at Model Rail Scotland through in Glasgow, and it was great to help out the Scale Model Sceneries team and meet a lot of you in the process. It was good for you to come up and say hello, and a special shout out to Jeff and Rob from Somerset. Had a good old chat there about the rights and wrongs of Oxford MK3s, and it was good to catch up with you guys, so thanks very much. Also to everyone else who came up to give me good feedback on what I do and give me, shall we say, requests for the future. This video is kind of an update of several parts of the layout, so it's not really focused on the depot. I have been working on the low relief warehouse part of the depot. That work is still ongoing, but I'll be able to share some of the progress in this video regarding that. I've also got a loco to show you. It's not a new loco, it was a loco I bought last year, which has just been weathered and returned to me, so we'll cover that as well. Little sneak peeks about what's coming up in the future as well at Dean Park, as well as quickly covering the Hunt coupling system that I covered in my video last week. They have really been a massive success for Chris down at Hunt Coupling, so much so they ran out of stock within 2 or 3 days. However, I'll touch on a couple of products in this video, and keep an eye out on the Dean Park channel because there is new products being launched very soon, so more information on that later. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the video. Any comments are always welcome. I'll try and reply to them all. One kind of request, I do get a heck of a lot of messages through my Facebook, so much so that I'm not physically possible to get through them all in a day. If you want a question asked, the best way to do it is join my Dean Park closed Facebook group and post it on there as a normal post, and either I or other modelers will get back to you with some advice, or to post the comments on the video. Apologies if I've not got back to you and you've sent me a private message through Facebook. It's just that I'm literally getting so many a day, it's just not possible. I've not got the time to reply to them all. In the meantime, enjoy the video. Cheers for now. Another new kit at Dean Park this month is the Scale Model Scenery mesh-sided stylages, and you get 8 in a pack. I've got 6 on display here. I made a mess of a couple, trying different colours and stuff. Obviously they won't make it onto the layout, but I've got 6 good examples here, and the code for this is LX182-00, and the link to that is in the description below. I primed them whilst they were still on the sheet, then cut them out, glued them together, and then sprayed them in a Humbrol Sea Grey just to darken them down. A colour I've used actually quite a lot, including on my boiler house windows. And then what I did is I went to work with the weathering powders and really gave them a muck and a rusty appearance inside, especially on the bottoms and the interior sides of the mesh. These would be pretty much battered through their existence. They might be outside, for example. You're throwing old parts in, you know, scraps of metal, and they're going to be dented, they're going to be rusted, they're going to be chipped. So I've tried to replicate that finish on these. They're all slightly varied in finish, they're not just one blanket rust. Okay, and hopefully the camera's picking some of these up. They're very fine kits, very well detailed, even the little legs at the corners and stuff. I'd really recommend these if you've got an industrial scene, a factory outlet for example, or at a depot. These will be going around about the depot sheds, maybe inside, maybe a couple outside, and I'll fill them with bits of rubbish, offcuts of plastic card painted to look like scraps from, you know, old parts from a loco and stuff like that. These are the Bachmann Mark IIF coaches, and these have the lights fitted from the factory. And I always thought from the off that the lights were too bright. But thanks to a post from Martin Finbow on my Dean Park Station Facebook group, he's given information on how to adjust the CVs to darken the level of light, if you like, okay, to make it more realistic. The one on the left, as you see it, is just factory settings for the CVs, and the one on the right is the altered CV for the interior light. What I'm going to do is I'll switch the light off in the loft to let you see the difference. You see an element of flashing here. That's just the way the camera picks up the LEDs. The lights actually are not flickering in real life. Okay, they're not having a disco inside. But you'll see on the right hand side how the CVs have been altered compared to the one on the left. It's much more realistic. It doesn't light up the entire area around the coach, and really I'm impressed by what I've managed to do thanks to Martin's advice. The CVs you need to alter are CV118, and I think it's set at 7 as default, and it goes from 1 to 15. I've taken it right down to 1 or 2, I think. There's also ways you can alter the guards compartment lighting as well. I think that's CV117. So if you've got these coaches and you think they're a wee bit on the bright side, go in, change CVs 117 and 118 to the level you want, and it'll improve it straight away. I've nipped down to the office to show you the progress on the low relief warehouse since last month's update. As you can see here, I've clad the front with the brickwork, and that's been given my usual prime Humbrol 70, and then I go over it with a stone wash Humbrol 121, and then I wipe it off to leave the mortar in the mortar course, and then I just use some other tones to vary it a little bit. In this case I'm going to go on for a darker red stroke brown brickwork, representative of something that was maybe put up in the 80s. If I show you the kind of extension office that goes on the side, you could probably see the brickwork and mortar a little bit clearer, and obviously I've got a window to go in there, and that will fit on to the end like so. The construction of the warehouse is pretty straightforward. It's two 4mm bits of MDF front and back, and I've got these bits of MDF sandwiched in between for the roof, and that'll obviously be clad with corrugated plasticard sheet. Inside, to stop the bits of roof falling below the edge here, I've got little triangulation supports, so it all just slots in nicely. A bit of planning ahead makes construction and assembly a lot easier if you just think ahead as to what you might need to do. That's why my scratch build projects take a wee bit of time. I'm not just throwing them together, I'm trying to make it as robust as possible. The metal cladding that will go in the front of the building is here. It's made up of 3 separate parts because obviously I couldn't get a sheet as long as I needed. It's made up of, as a scrap piece, it's made up of very wide spaced V-groove there, and I've backed it with a 0.5 bit of plasticard. The reason I've done that is I want it to protrude a little bit from the top of the brick course. The brick plasticard is 0.5, so by putting a 0.5 sheet on the back here and then putting it on the building, it'll allow it to protrude as does the real thing that I'm copying, as most of these warehouses will do as well. Along the bottom edge of the cladding, I've fitted this little thin strip of styrene from Evergreen, and it's the same width, and I think it's 0.75 that way, and just edges it nicely. Again, I'm copying from the prototype. This will be fitted onto the building using some super glue. Obviously I've primed it, and then I'll be applying the top coat along with the roof, which also gets the same colour. I brought the warehouse up the loft here to put in position, and I'll show you that in the next clip. I've fitted the roofing, which is Slater's corrugated plastic, but I've also added in a small U-shaped guttering there for the water to run down, and obviously I'm going to have a down pipe going down there as well, and that happens at the bottom of both of the peaked areas. So it's quite a nice little touch that I've managed to add in. Again, a bit more realism. It's going to have that in the actual building to then stop the water lying on the bits of the roof and leaking through into the warehouse. This area here will obviously be all edged along the roof as well, as per the prototype. I've just put the warehouse in position just now. Obviously it's not finished, but it will be finished hopefully for next month's depot update. I've got to do a bit more work to the paintwork and adding some details in, but you can see how it takes away a pretty bland piece of ID back scene there and just brings it into a more industrial themed part of the depot. So I really am pretty impressed by how it's managed to fit in. I've not obviously got a little extension on the left hand end there yet. I've just brought the 3 peaks up to show you where it will sit in the depot. I'm going to quickly touch on the Hunt coupling system. As you can see here, my Mark IIIs in the first and the second row have been fitted with the magnetic couplers. These were previously the large tension locks and of the older coupling design from the Hornby Mark III. It's made a massive difference to the gap. It really was a game changer. One thing you need is a small gap between the coaches, because as you navigate the complex track work and tighter radius curves than you would find on, say, a real railway, the coaches need that little bit of gap for the clearance. You can close them completely with some card kind of bellow walkway gangways. They can be fitted, but you don't really want plastic on plastic rubbing together. It could cause issues, damage and derailments. The coaches at the back are the Mark IIF from Bachmann, and they already come with a close coupling system, so they really wouldn't benefit greatly from upgrading. They're pretty good as they are, but the Hornby Mark IIEs and Mark IIFs really would benefit from some of the Hunt coupling magnetic system. I was asked at Motor Rail Scotland if the Mark IIIAs work with this particular coupler. The answer to that is yes, but it doesn't really close the gap. Because the Oxford Mark III, and you'll see the shot on the screen just now, the NEM pocket is very close to the end of the coach. So the team at Hunt Coupling are beavering away as we speak, coming up with a solution to this, and I'll be able to share that with you in the very near future. So stay tuned to Dean Park for that. 37026 joined the Dean Park fleet back in spring last year, and it was in pristine condition. So I sent it down to Alex Carpenter of ABC Workshops, and he gave it the weathering treatment for me to my specification. For example, I wanted windscreen wiper marks on the glazing. I wanted a subtle weathering along the sides, some roof dirt, and obviously the bogies and snow ploughs really given a good weathering. So he obliged, and I've just got this back last week, and I really have to say I'm blown away by the detail that he's managed to incorporate into the finished product, even down to the small speckled of squashed flies on the yellow nose end. So that really is quite cool. I especially like the way he's done the snow ploughs in a kind of grimy finish. He's built up the different layers of weathering on there, from scratches to oil and obviously general muck from the track. So big thanks to you for the job you've done here, Alex. It'll be back on the Dean Park layout running this month. It will certainly look great hauling some of the Weather Dutch wagons that I've got, and some of the Rail Freight red and grey box vans. Whilst at Model Rail Scotland, I passed the Primo Models stand, and this is a brand I've never heard of before, and they were selling a whole host of different types of trees. Now, I've been on the lookout for spruce trees for quite a while, spruce trees that look realistic and don't look plasticky. When I had time later in the show, I nipped back to the stand and I got talking to the guy that was on the stand, and he was very, very helpful, and he showed me some of the products, and I was a bit confused about the sizes and what I would need for my layout. And he pointed out the side of the box here has got all the information. Depending on what scale you're doing, we'll give you a metres and feet height of the tree depending on that scale. So that was really quite helpful, and it helped me pick out the right sizes for the area that I'm using them in, which is the opposite side of the signal box at the station mouth, the kind of Waverley Gardens part of the layout. They come in this cardboard box, sustainable, recyclable, excellent. No coloured ink or thick card. It's durable, and it's really recyclable. What can you say? We're looking after the environment here, and there's no plastic window. Doesn't need one. The tree's held perfectly securely in that box. It is very robust, the actual tree. There's no gaps in the foliage, and you can't see an unrealistic trunk going up. And when you remove it from this kind of base that it comes with, it's got a little stud that you can plonk in your layout. Now, that is a 14 to 16 centimetre spruce tree, where the foliage is going near enough to the bottom of the tree. This one maybe is what you'd call a forest spruce, where the bottom half has not got any foliage attached to it. As I say, go across to the Primo Models website on www.primomodels.co.uk and check out what they've got. There might be something there for your layout. I've also got these little grass tufts that the chap gave me as well, and they come in an array of different shades, some flowering and different tones of green. So fully recommended these actually. I'm really impressed by them, and I'll be scattering some around my layout, but focusing a lot on putting them on the Waverley Gardens section in due course. Just a quick comment on some of these East Coast farewell prints that I've picked up, and these are from stuartblack.com. He's produced quite a lot of the prints for locomotives, and he's produced a nice set for the East Coast farewell, and I've got 2 or 3 of these actually. I've popped this one in a frame that I bought online, but if you want to go across to stuartblack.com and see what he's got on offer, they really are quite impressive. I know that KMS Railtech have even used his images for their announcement for their forthcoming O-gauge HST, so I say head across the website and you're bound to find something that suits you. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you've enjoyed it and got some ideas and inspiration for your own layouts. The depot in front of you here obviously still has a massive gap between the boiler house and the tooling engine shed. I'm working as we speak on low relief structures, including my warehouse, to fill that gap, and then what I'll do is I'll weather the buildings along the back, including the tooling shed, and then blend it all in with the back scene. So we've really got an enclosed depot scene. Okay. After that, it'll be working along the far end of the layout and also adding some retaining walls to the front bit. Progress sometimes appears very slow, but trust me, I'm beavering away to try and get as much done as I can. I don't rush my work, that's one thing I don't do. I don't rush it up to get a video. It'll come when it's ready. Any questions, please post in the comments below, or as I said earlier in the video, if you wish to add comments or seek advice, join the Dean Park Station closed Facebook group. It's around about 2,000 members now, so there's a lot of people to bounce ideas off. Thanks for watching. Happy modelling.